Hola, hola. Bienvenidos todos a este curso maravilloso de Thinking into Results y vamos a empezar con este videito número 1, esta lección 1 del ideal digno. Empezamos.
And welcome. I
Hola,
want to congratulate
quiero darte
you
la
for
enhorabuena por
taking part
participar
in
en
this
este
program,
programa
Thinking into Results.
into Results.
You know, you probably think this
¿Sabes?
just has to do with your
Probablemente
work, but it
pienses
really
que solo
doesn't.
tiene que ver
This
con
has
tu
to do with
trabajo,
your
pero en
family,
realidad no es así.
it has to do
Eso
with your
tiene que ver con
social
tu
life,
familia,
your
tiene que ver
health,
con tu vida
it
social,
has to do
con tu
with your
salud, tiene
life.
que ver con tu vida.
I began studying this
Empecé a estudiar este
material
material hace
close to
casi
50 years ago.
50 años.
My life has
Mi vida
changed
ha
so
cambiado
dramatically.
dramáticamente.
I live in a healthy
Vivo en un
body,
cuerpo
I'm happy,
saludable,
I'm
soy
wealthy, I
feliz,
have
soy
friends all over the
próspero,
world,
tengo amigos
and
en todo el mundo
I
y
have
tengo
business all
negocios
over the
en
world.
todo el mundo.
And it's all because of this
Y todo ha
material.
sucedido gracias
You
a
have
este material.
absolutely no
No
idea
tienes
where
ni la
this is
más
going to
remota
take
idea
you.
de dónde te va
And
a
when we
llevar.
talk about
Y cuando
results,
hablamos de
let's
resultados
understand
es
this.
importante que
It's
entendamos
what we
esto.
think
Es
that
lo que
ultimately
pensamos lo que
manifests as
últimamente
results.
se
Now, that may
manifiesta
seem
como
like a bit of an
resultados. Sé que puede
exaggeration
parecer
or
una
maybe even a
exageración
fairy
o quizá
tale
incluso
to
un
you
cuento de
at this
hadas en
point.
este punto.
But as you start to
Pero a
study
medida
it,
que lo
you're going to
empieces a
realize
estudiar,
it's not an
que vas a
exaggeration
saber
and
que
it's
no
not a
es una
fairy tale.
exageración y no
It's
es un
real.
cuento de hadas, es real.
So
De
take
modo
this
que tómate
program
este programa
seriously.
muy
Your
en serio.
leaders are
Tus
going to
líderes
give
te
you
van a dar
something that
algo
you're going to be
por lo que
grateful
te vas
for
a
the
sentir
rest of your
agradecido
life.
durante el resto de tu vida.
I am forever
Yo me siento
grateful every
agradecido cada
day
día
to
por
have
tener
this
esta información.
information. Because you see,
Porque
I'm in
como ves,
charge of
yo
me,
soy
I'm in charge
responsable
of my
de mí,
world,
soy
and you're
responsable
going to
de
take
mi
charge
mundo,
of
y
your
tú vas a
world.
hacerte responsable
You'll
de
no
tu
longer be a
mundo. No
victim of
volverás a ser víctima
circumstance
de
or
las
a victim of any
circunstancias o
kind,
víctima de ningún
because you're going to
tipo,
take
porque vas a
responsibility for
asumir
your
la
life and the
responsabilidad de
results
tu
you
vida
get.
y de los
We never have
resultados
to
que tienes.
blame, we
No
never have to
debemos
look
de
at anybody
culpar,
else,
no
and
debemos de
we're in
mirar a
control of
nadie
how we
y
think,
tenemos
how
el
we
control
feel,
sobre
how we
cómo
act,
pensamos,
and
cómo
therefore
nos
the
sentimos,
results we
cómo
get.
actuamos y por lo tanto
You're
de
going
los
to start
resultados que
loving
obtenemos.
how you spend your
Vamos a empezar
days
a
when you've
disfrutar
got
como
thinking
nunca
into results
cuando
in your
tengas
pocket
Thinking into
and in your
Results en
mind.
tu bolsillo y
Enjoy
en tu
it.
mente.
Hello,
Disfrútalo.
I'm Sandy
Hola, soy
Gallagher,
Sandy
your
Gallagher,
partner on this
y tu
journey,
acompañante en este
Thinking
viaje
into
Thinking
Results.
into Results.
When I first met Bob
Cuando
Proctor,
conocí por primera
I
vez
was
a Bob
already a
Proctor,
successful
yo
business
ya era
attorney,
una abogada
and I
corporativa
thought
de
my life
éxito y
couldn't get
pensaba
much
que mi
better,
vida no podía
but it
mejorar
did.
mucho,
My
pero lo
life
hizo.
has expanded
Mi vida se ha expandido
dramatically. I've learned a
dramáticamente.
lot from
He
Bob
aprendido
since we
mucho de
first
Bob
met.
desde que nos
He
conocimos.
got me to shift
Me
my
ayudó a
thinking
cambiar mi forma
and
de
see the
pensar
relationship
y
of
ver
my
la relación
mind
entre
to
mi
my
mente
behavior
y
and
mi
my results.
comportamiento y mis
Bob
resultados.
Proctor is
Bob
widely
Proctor
considered
está
one of the
considerado como
greatest
uno de los
teachers in
más
the
grandes
world
maestros
on the
del
topic
mundo en
of
el
human
campo del
potential
potencial
and growth.
y el desarrollo
He's worked
humano.
with many of the top companies
Ha
around the
trabajado
world,
con muchas
from
de las
banks
compañías
to airlines
pioneras
to
en el mundo,
insurance
desde bancos
companies
a líneas
to
aéreas,
computer
desde compañías
giants
de
like
seguro
IBM.
a gigantes de la
Working
informática
with
como
Bob
IBM.
generates
Trabajar con
phenomenal
Bob genera
results.
resultados fenomenales.
One of the most valuable
Uno de los
concepts
conceptos
that
más
Bob
valiosos que
taught
Bob
me
me
is
enseñó
the importance of setting
es la
goals.
importancia de fijar
Not just any
objetivos.
goal,
No
not a
simplemente
goal you
cualquier
know
objetivo,
how to
no un
achieve.
objetivo que sabes
I'm
cómo
talking about
alcanzar.
a goal,
Estoy hablando de
a
un
dream,
objetivo,
a
un
vision,
sueño, una
something you
visión.
think,
Algo que
something you
piensas, algo
know,
de
in fact, is
desde
beyond
hecho,
your
que
experience
está más
today.
allá de tu
Because the
experiencia
true
hoy.
purpose of a
Porque el
goal
auténtico
is to help
propósito de
you
un
grow
objetivo es
in your
ayudarte a crecer en
awareness
tu
of
conciencia,
yourself
de ti
and of your
mismo
team.
y de tu equipo.
What are your dreams?
¿Cuáles son tus sueños?
What are your aspirations?
¿Cuáles son tus
What are your
aspiraciones?
goals?
¿Cuáles son tus
Let's see how
objetivos?
you can begin
Veamos
thinking
cómo puedes
in a
empezar a
new and
pensar de una
powerful
nueva
way
y poderosa
and begin discovering
y
your
empezar a
true
descubrir
purpose
tu
in life.
auténtico propósito
Are
en
you
la
ready?
vida. Wow, ¿estás preparado? Bienvenida a Thinking into Results, un viaje transformador, si así lo quieres.
Si no estás meditando, no
Esto
sabes
es
lo que te estás perdiendo.
espectacular,
Hoy en día,
no
no
lo
meditar
podemos
es como
perder.
vivir la vida
Empezamos
sin
la
hacer
lección
ejercicio.
1, pero son 12 lecciones. Vamos a perder lección 1.
The lesson that we're going to do
La
right
lección que
now
vamos a aprender
could have a greater impact in your
podría
life
tener
than
un
anything
impacto
else.
mayor
It
en tu
certainly
vida
did
que
on
cualquier
mine.
otra cosa. Ciertamente lo tuvo
You
en la
receive a
mía.
little goal
Has
card.
recibido una pequeña tarjeta de objetivo.
This is where you sit down
Este es el
and
momento
write
en el
out
que te
what you
sientas
want
y
on a
escribes
card.
aquello que
And
quieres
then you
en
carry it
una
loose in your
tarjeta
purse or
y
your
la llevas
pocket. Now, on
contigo en
one
tu monedero
side,
o en
we've
tu
got
bolsillo.
here,
En un lado tenemos
change is
escrito,
inevitable,
el cambio es inevitable.
but
Pero el
personal growth
crecimiento
is a
personal
choice,
es
and
una
it
elección.
is.
Y lo es.
Do you know that
¿Sabías que podrías
you could
pasear
wander up and down the streets of any
por las
city,
calles de
anywhere in the
cualquier ciudad,
world,
en cualquier
and
lugar
ask
del
one
mundo, y
person after
podrías preguntar a
another,
una persona
what
tras
is their
otra cuál es
goal?
su
And they'll
objetivo
look at you,
y te
and
mirarían
odds are pretty good they'll
y
say, say,
muy
what do you mean?
probablemente te
And
dirían, ¿qué
if by
quieres
chance
decir?
you find
Y si
someone
por
that has a
casualidad
clearly
encuentras a
defined
alguien
goal,
que tuviese un
ask
objetivo
if they've
definido
got it in
claramente
writing.
y le
And
preguntas si se lo
again,
lleva escrito. Y de nuevo,
odds are
casi
pretty good
seguro
they
que
won't.
no lo lleva.
If you
Si
decide
decides
what you
aquello que
want
quieres
and you write it on
y
the
lo
card
escribes en
and
la
you carry
tarjeta
it with you,
y lo llevas
I
contigo,
guarantee you it
te
must
garantizo
happen.
que ha de
It
suceder,
absolutely must happen in
absolutamente
your life.
ha de
Now,
suceder
why
en
do
tu
we
vida.
have
Pero
goals?
¿por qué tenemos
See,
objetivos?
The average
El
individual would
individuo
say we
medio
have a
diría
goal
que tenemos el
to
objetivo
get
de conseguir
more.
más,
You know, get a better house, get a
conseguir una
bigger
casa
house, get a
mejor,
boat,
conseguir una casa
get more
mayor,
money.
conseguir un
No,
barco o más dinero.
that
No,
may be a
eso
result of
podría
the
ser el
goal. You may,
resultado del objetivo. Podrías
accumulate more
acumular
in your
más en
life
tu
and
vida y
nicer and
cosas
better
más bellas
things.
y
But the
mejores.
real purpose of
Pero
the
el
goal is to
auténtico
grow.
propósito del
It
objetivo
causes
es
you to
crecer.
draw something out
Hace
of
que
yourself
saques
that
algo
you
de
didn't
ti
even
mismo
know
que ni
was
siquiera
there.
sabías que estaba ahí.
Now, when we set a
Ahora,
goal, we're
cuando
going
definimos
after
un
something
objetivo,
we
vamos tras
want.
algo que queremos.
And if you
Y
know
si
how to
sabes
reach
cómo
it,
conseguirlo,
it's
es
the
el
wrong
objetivo
goal. Now,
equivocado.
that probably sounds pretty
Probablemente eso
silly.
suene como algo bastante
When
absurdo.
you set a
Cuando
goal,
defines un
you're going
objetivo,
after
es algo que
something you
quieres.
want. And if you
Y si
know how
sabes
to
cómo
reach it,
alcanzarlo,
it's probably the wrong goal.
probablemente sea
You're
el
going
objetivo erróneo,
sideways.
te estás desviando.
I always mention that
Yo
goals
siempre digo
fall
que los
into three
objetivos se pueden
categories. I
clasificar
refer to
en
it as
tres
A, B, and
categorías,
C.
a las que me refiero como A, B y C.
A-type
Los
goals
objetivos de
are
tipo A
doing
consisten
something
en
you
hacer algo que
already
ya
know
sabes
how
cómo
to
hacer.
do. And I use an example
Y
in a
utilizo un
program that
ejemplo
I
de un
wrote
programa que escribí
about a young man that came to
sobre
me
un
and he
joven
asked
que
me
se
if I'd
acercó y
talk
me
to him about his
preguntó
goal. And I
si
said,
hablaría
sure, what's
con
your
él
goal?
sobre su objetivo
He
y
said,
le
I want
dije,
to get a
claro,
new
¿cuál es su
car.
objetivo? Me dijo,
Well,
quiero un
that's
coche
okay. I
nuevo.
said,
Y
what
le
kind of a
contesté,
car do you
bueno,
want? He
¿qué
said, a
coche
new
quieres?
Pontiac.
Y respondió, un
I said, well,
Pontiac
Pontiac's
nuevo.
a nice car.
Yo
I've
le
had a
respondí,
Pontiac.
bueno, el Pontiac es un buen carro.
And I
yo
said,
tenía
what
un
are you
Pontiac. Le
driving now? And he
pregunté,
said, a
¿qué
Pontiac.
conduces ahora? Y me dijo, un
Really?
Pontiac. ¿De
I said, how
verdad?
long have you had it? And he
Le
said,
dije,
4
¿cuánto
years.
tiempo llevas conduciendo un
I said, how old's
Pontiac?
the
Y dijo,
Pontiac?
4
He
años.
said,
4
4 years
años tienes
old.
el Pontiac.
And I
Y me dijo,
said, then
4
what you're
años.
telling
Yo le
me
respondí,
is
entonces me
that
estás
you have
diciendo
had a
que
new
has tenido un
Pontiac
Pontiac nuevo
that you bought 4
que
years ago.
compraste
You
hace
bought it
4
new. He
años.
said, that's
Lo
right.
compraste
And I
nuevo.
said,
Dijo,
that's not a
cierto.
good
Y
goal.
entonces le respondí,
Because
ese
you've
no es
known
un
for
buen
4
objetivo
years how to
porque
do
llevas
that.
4
There's going to be
años
no
sabiendo
growth
cómo hacerlo.
attached to it.
No va a
Now,
haber
that doesn't mean
un
you shouldn't
crecimiento
get a
en
new Pontiac,
absoluto.
but
Pero
it
eso
would
no
not
significa que no
constitute
te
a
deberías
goal.
comprar
A
un
goal
Pontiac
is
nuevo, es un
something
objetivo digno.
that you're
Un
going to go
objetivo es
after you've
algo
never done
tras lo
before.
que vas a ir
Now,
que
when
nunca
people
has
move
hecho
away from
antes. Y
A-type
cuando las
goals, they
personas se
generally
alejan
go
de
to
los
B-type
objetivos de tipo
goals.
A, generalmente
And
van a
that's
los
where they
objetivos de
sit
tipo B,
down
y
and they
aquí es donde
gather
se
all the
sientan
information they've
y
got, all the
reúnen toda la
resources they've
información
got,
que tienen,
and
todos
they
los
say,
recursos de
if
que
all
disponen. Y dicen,
these things
si suceden todas
happen,
estas
then
cosas,
I could
entonces podré
accomplish
conseguir
this.
esto.
And they make a plan.
Y
They've got
crean
a
un plan. Tienen
an
un plan
absolutely beautiful plan.
absolutamente
They've got the
genial.
plan,
Tienen un
and if
plan. Y si
all
todas
these things
esas cosas
happen, then I
suceden,
can accomplish this.
entonces
This
podré
is what they
alcanzar
think
esto.
they can
Esto
do.
es lo que creen que pueden
You see,
hacer.
the A-type is what they
Como
know
ves,
they can
el
do.
tipo A es aquello
B
que
is
saben
what
que
they
pueden
think
hacer.
they can do.
B es lo que creen que
And do you
pueden
know that
hacer.
there's no
¿Sabes que
inspiration in
no hay
going after something
inspiración
like that?
en ir tras algo como
Absolutely
esto?
none.
Ninguna, en absoluto.
And if you're going
Y
to
si vas a
really
conseguir algo
accomplish something, you're going to have to be
realmente,
inspired.
vas a
You're going to
tener
have
que
to
sentirte
pull on
inspirado.
something that you
Vas a
haven't pulled
tener
on
que sacar
before. I
algo de
mean,
ti
it's going to
que
have
no
to
has
come from
sacado nunca. Va a
inside.
tener que
See,
venir del
people go
interior.
after
Y así
B-type
las
goals,
personas
they
van tras
get going,
objetivos de
and they
tipo
get
B,
bored, they're
empiezan
not
y se aburren,
inspired, and so
o
they
se
quit,
sienten
they give up.
inspirados y lo dejan, abandonan.
Now, the
El
C-type
objetivo de
goal
tipo C
is
es el
wants.
deseo.
And what you
Y
want,
lo que
I'm
quieres,
talking
estoy
about what you
hablando de
really
lo que
want.
de
Most people
verdad
say, I don't
quieres.
know what I want.
Mucha
I don't
gente
believe
dice, no
that.
sé lo que
I think you
quiero,
do know
no
what
lo
you
creo.
want.
Yo
I
creo
think
que
you're
sabes lo que
rejecting it
quieres,
before you
porque
give it
lo
any
estás
serious
rechazando
thought.
antes de pensar en ello
To
seriamente.
decide what you want,
Para
you've got to
decidir lo
sit
que
down
quieres,
and
has de
totally
sentarte y
relax.
relajarte
And then you have to let your
totalmente, y
imagination
entonces has
wander.
de dejar
When you're
volar tu
going after
imaginación.
wants, you're dealing with
Cuando vas tras
fantasy.
deseos, estás tratando
See, the
con
one,
la
you're going
fantasía.
after what you know.
¿Ves?
The other one,
En
you're
el
going
uno
after
estás
what you
yendo
think you can do.
para lo que
And
ya
the
sabes,
wants
en el
is
otro estás
fantasy.
yendo para lo que crees.
Now,
Y los
we
deseos
have
son
been
fantasía. Hemos sido
conditioned
condicionados
as
desde
kids that fantasy is just for
a
little
pesar de que
kids.
la fantasía es solo para niños,
You
a
don't
pensar en que la
fantasize.
fantasía es para niños
You've got to
pequeños.
know
No
how things are
fantasees.
going to happen.
Has de saber cómo van a
But you
suceder
see,
las
you and
cosas.
I are the only
Pero
creature
como
on the
sabes, tú
planet,
y
so
yo
far as
somos
we
las
know, that can
únicas personas
fantasize.
en el mundo hasta donde sabemos
Ed
que
Hillary
pueden fantasear.
fantasized that he
Ed
would
Hillary
stand on top of the
fantaseó que
world and
estaría
climb Mount
en
Everest.
la
The
cima del
Wright
Monte
brothers, a
Everest
couple of
y
ordinary
escaló el Everest.
bicycle
Los
mechanics,
hermanos
they
Wright,
fantasized they'd
mecánicos de
introduce us to a
bicicleta,
new kingdom, and they
fantasearon que
did.
nos introducirían en un nuevo reino,
Now
en
think
el
of
reino
this
de
for
la
a moment.
aviación, y lo
What do you
hicieron. Ahora
fantasize?
piensa,
See, as a
¿sobre qué
little kid, you could
fantasías?
fantasize,
¿Ves?
and your
Cuando eras
mother
un
and
niño
dad let you
podías
do that
fantasear y
because
tu
it
madre y
got
tu
you up
padre
under their
te
see.
dejaban
You'd sit
que,
down in
y
front of
luego
the
te
kitchen
apartaban,
cupboards
te
with
sentaban
pots and
delante de
pans,
los
and God knows
armarios,
only what you
ollas
did
y
with them.
sartenes, y solo
But then you
sabes
went
lo
to
que hacías
school.
con ellas. Pero
Bob,
cuando
pay
fuiste a la escuela,
attention.
¡pam! Bob,
You
presta
see, your
atención.
mind's wandering. Will you
Tu
quit
mente
looking
está
out the
vagando.
window and listen to what I'm
¿Quieres
telling
dejar
you?
de mirar eso y
And you
escuchar
see,
lo que te
we
estoy
get
diciendo?
punished,
Y
and
como
pretty
ves,
soon
se nos
we
castiga. Y muy
stop
pronto
fantasizing.
dejamos de fantasear.
We put our imagination
Apartamos
away
nuestra
and we stop
imaginación
using
y
it.
dejamos de
Do you know,
usarla.
Napoleon Hill said the
¿Sabes?
imagination is the most marvelous,
Napoleón Hill dijo, la
miraculous,
imaginación
inconceivably
es la
powerful.
fuerza. La
Imagination is the
imaginación es
most
la
marvelous,
más
miraculous,
maravillosa,
inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. Don't you find it strange that we have great, huge companies, big multinationals with small creative departments? We have people wandering around saying, well, I'm not really creative. Writers are creative, musicians are, but I'm really not creative. Everyone is creative. Creativity comes from the root creator, which is within. Everybody's creative. It's a matter, are you expressing your creativity? Well, don't let people steal your dreams. When you sit down and decide what you want, you won't know how you're going to get it. The fun is in finding out how you're going to do it. When I set a goal, if it doesn't sort of scare me, I know I'm on the wrong track. See, if you know how you do it, you're going to go sideways.
Con cuál de estos métodos para aprender idiomas puedes aprender hasta 3 veces más rápido que la media.
Si sabes cómo lo vas a conseguir, estás equivocado.
You've got to build a fantasy. You take the fantasy and you move it from fantasy to a theory. You keep playing with it. And you go from fantasy to a theory, and you take it, and just follow the pyramid that we've got here for you, and you turn it into a theory. Now that is when we're giving our fantasy some serious consideration. We're starting to use our reasoning mind, and we're starting to give this some serious thought. Now before we can turn the theory into a goal, we have to ask ourselves a couple of things. Am I able to do this? Am I able? Well, if we believe everything we've been taught by both science and theology, the only two sources of reference we have to go to, we have deep reservoirs of talent. We have infinite potential. Absolutely, I'm able. I don't know how, but I'm able. The second question we have to ask, am I willing? Am I willing to pay the price? Am I willing to do what I have to do to get to where I'm going? See, Ed Hillary had to go to Nepal in 1951, in 1952, and 1953. No one had ever been to the top of Mount Everest. Everyone in the world told him it couldn't be done. Anybody that tried died. But he kept going back. He was willing to do whatever was required, and he got to the top of that mountain. Have you any idea how those two young bicycle mechanics, the Wright brothers, were ridiculed? Told to quit wasting time? Have you any idea how many times people laughed at Edison when he said what he was going to do? He was going to make this incandescent light. You know, he failed about 10,000 times. He was willing to do that. See, failing at something doesn't make you a failure. You're only a failure when you stop. You could ask, am I able to do this? Yeah, I'm able. Am I willing? Yeah, I'm willing. I am willing to pay the price. At that second, your theory turns into a goal. Now, as you get emotionally involved in the goal, you're going to find that your emotional involvement is going to change your behavior. Yet you're going to find as your behavior changes, the results start to change. And your theory turns into a fact. And once you reach the goal, it turned into a fact. That puts you in a position to build bigger and better fantasies. Now, let's back up a bit. How do you decide what you want? See, that's a pretty big idea. You've got to sit down as an individual and start writing all your wants down. Make a shopping list. See, I think there's two goals people should have. They should have a personal goal, and then they should have a corporate goal. You might want to sit down with your peers in your department and say, what could we accomplish in this department? It could be the sales department. It might be as a group, collectively, take the sales to a point that would shock the executives in the company. It could be in the machine shop. Let's make this place the most effective machine shop in the world. It could be in the accounting department. Let's make sure everything's right on top. They're goals. And as we work towards them, we unify our energies. We work together, but we're working towards a point. See, when people are working towards something, they're alive. If they're just working, they don't have any fun. So we've got to sit down and we've got to decide, what do I really want? And start to make a list. You're capable of doing anything. And what we're really doing is raising our level of conscious awareness.
And you're going to find when you decide on the thing on the list that you want more than anything, that becomes the star you're shooting at. That's what's written on the card. That becomes the goal. It might be an income, it might be a position, it might be a new home, it might be a trip. That becomes the goal. Yeah, that's what you work towards. And you're forever trying to become more effective so you can raise your consciousness and you become aware of how to do it. It's the same in a department.
We have a masterminding session, a brainstorming session. How can we make this department more effective than it is? Now, you're going to find possibly someone say, well, I'm not doing that. Well, then that's okay. They're not part of the group. Don't let another person dictate how you're going to live.
Don't let conditions or circumstance dictate. It has nothing to do with what's going on outside of you. It's what's going on inside. George Bernard Shaw said that people are always blaming circumstance for where they are. He said, I don't believe in circumstance. The people that get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they make them. So you absolutely refuse to let anything that's going on outside stop you. You know, there's a cute story about the Maharishi and yoga when he was taking his transcendental meditation to the world, or planning to. Someone asked him, well, where's all the money going to come from? He said, wherever it is right now. See, nothing's created or destroyed. If nothing's created or destroyed, everything's already here, if not in one state or another. The way to fly airplanes has always been here. Internet, it's always been here. We just weren't aware of how to do it. And as we raise our conscious awareness, we've got it. Nothing is created or destroyed. All science and all theology have taught us that for years. Now, when we really start to understand that, we live in an ocean of motion. We're living in a constant evolution of change. But remember when I said personal growth is a choice? You've got to have a goal. You've got to wake up in the morning and get excited. I'm working towards my goal. That's what I'm doing right now, is I'm creating this program with you. I'm working towards a goal. I have a business partner, Sandy Gallagher. She wants to build this worldwide, the corporate division. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're working towards. That's why we're spending time here right now, building this program. So help you. See, the only way to reach the goal is to provide greater service. And as you provide greater service, you're going to grow. You're going to move ahead. Things inside of you are going to start to happen. An individual that doesn't have a goal is lost. They don't know where they're going. Can you imagine going on a trip and you don't know where you're going? Somebody say, well, where are you going to go? I don't know, west. Where? I mean, you could be going around the world, just going around the world and around the world. Well, where are you going? I'm going west. But when you get there, you still can go west. Imagine driving out of your driveway, you've got no destination. Which way would you turn? You see, we're goal-seeking organisms, every one of us. Have you ever watched a little baby? The baby's goal is to walk. It falls, it bangs its head, it cries, it bleeds, but it doesn't stay down. It gets up and it gets going. And pretty soon, it's, look, Mom, I'm walking. Then they get on a bike. And the trick is to balance it, learn how to ride. Pretty soon, it's, look, Mom, no hands. Do you know what your goal is? Your goal, your real purpose in life is to grow. You want to sit down and ask yourself, what do you really love to do? That's what you're going to get good at. That's what your purpose is going to be all about. That's what your goal is all about. Move toward what you want. Have a personal goal, have a corporate goal. Now your personal goal and your corporate goal in your department should be consistent with the corporate goal that the executive team set. So you want to make sure, as you go towards the big one, that all your little ones will fall into place. And I guarantee you, you'll set something on fire inside of you that there's nothing like it. Goal achievers are productive individuals. They're happy, they're productive, they're prosperous. They're the ones that make the world change. Don't listen to people that tell you why something can't be done. Don't listen to people that tell you the economy is controlling them. You control the economy. You're God's highest form of creation. Steve Bowe, who was a vice president with the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, said one time something that I have never forgotten. He said, God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. Our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. I like that. You might want to
take and memorize that. It's done me a lot of good.
Me he
Now I've
hecho
shared it
muy
with you.
bien. Ahora lo he
Set your
compartido
goal.
contigo.
Get it on your
Fija tu
card.
objetivo, ponlo en tu
Bury it
tarjeta,
in your mind.
grábalo en tu mente.
Tell yourself I'm able and
Dite a
I'm
ti
willing.
mismo, soy
And then
capaz,
go and
estoy
do it.
dispuesto.
This is Bob
Chasquea
Proctor.
los
Thank
dedos
you.
y hazlo. Gracias.
I'd like to congratulate you
Quisiera
on
darte la
taking this
enhorabuena
first
por haber
step
dado este
towards
primer paso
thinking
en
into
Thinking
results.
into Results.
Now that you know a lot more about
Ahora
setting
que sabes
goals,
mucho más
the
sobre
right
definir
kind of
objetivos,
goals,
el tipo
what do you
adecuado de
do
objetivos,
next?
¿qué vas a hacer a
You take
continuación?
action.
Pasar a la
Because
acción,
that's where the
porque es ahí
learning
donde el
really
aprendizaje empieza
begins.
realmente.
Without action,
Sin acción los
goals are
objetivos son
just
solo
fantasies.
fantasías.
So sit down
De
with your
modo que
coworkers,
siéntate con
take
tus
some time
compañeros,
and
tómate
ask
algún
them
tiempo y
if we had
pregúntales.
all the
Si
resources we needed
dispusiésemos
and
de
there were
todos los
no
recursos que
limitations or
necesitamos y no hubiese
restrictions,
limitaciones o
what would we
restricciones,
want to
¿qué
accomplish
querríamos
together
conseguir
as a
juntos en este
department?
departamento?
It's really a great
Es
opportunity to
realmente una gran
collaborate and be
oportunidad para
creative
colaborar y ser
because
creativo,
everyone
porque todo
wins
el
by
mundo
coming
gana al
together
unirse
for a
tras un
common
objetivo común,
goal. And everyone
y todo el mundo
soars
despega
when
cuando
those
esos
common
objetivos
goals are
comunes
big,
son
worthy
objetivos
goals.
grandes y loables.
So good luck, and I'll
Buena
see you at
suerte
the
y
next
hasta la
lesson.
próxima sesión. Chicos, bienvenidos todos ustedes a Thinking into Results. Vamos a hacer este curso lo más bonito, experienciable, que podamos sacar los mejores resultados de este curso. Van a ser 12 lecciones. Vamos a repetir este videito de cada lección durante 2 semanas para aquello de la autosugestión, y vamos a trabajar durante estas 2 semanas todos los días que nos reunimos en las mañanas, 7 de la mañana hora México, 8 de la mañana hora Colombia. Vamos a ir desarrollando los temas que se trabajan en cada videito, y vamos a dejar unas guías que son para nosotros mismos. Nuestro compromiso es con nosotros mismos, no con nadie más. Recuérdenlo. Un abracito y que tengan excelente día.